All right, guys, we're live.
There you go.
Good morning. Hi,
Good
hi,
morning, guys.
hi,
Good
everybody. How's
morning.
everybody doing? Here's Ricardo and Carlos Alguero from Marketer Brothers. We have a very special guest this morning in our interview, and Ricardo will introduce him here in a minute. But hope you guys are having a wonderful Veterans Day weekend, enjoying time with your families, ideally, or doing something fun like Ricardo and Brad are right now out in Patrick's Air Force Base. Watch,
Actually, actually, we're
where?
close to Patrick's Air
Oh, are
Force
you
Base.
close? Okay.
Yes. So actually, we are in at Skydive Sebastian, which
Got
is
it.
a little bit 30 minutes south of Patrick's Air Force Base. It is by far the coolest skydiving place I've ever seen, and it's we're here for actually for Veterans Day. It's an event called Wings of Valor, and it's basically getting vets to jump. They get a discount on jumping, and actually they get one free jump, and then all of them are discounted. So
Nice.
for 4 days, these guys are jumping nonstop. Um, we actually just had Chris Wolf, which we interviewed a couple days ago. He just jumped. He just jumped it, jump tandem. so, so we got everybody jumping. We got the kids playing with water balloons.
When
I
you look
mean,
up
it's
in
a
the
great
sky,
time.
you see things falling. It's crazy.
Yes, exactly. So you might see a couple parachutes while we interview here, and I apologize a little bit if there's a little bit of wind noise. I mean, we're outside, and also after, every once in a while, you guys are gonna hear literally a huge rumble, and its planes are taking off constantly, getting people in the air. So we apologize, but believe me, this is definitely worth it. I wanted to catch Brad here. He is out in Orlando, so I'll introduce him real quick. It's Brad Mason. I really don't know a whole lot about his story, but I know what he's doing, which is amazing. I met him through Lopez. We all get Lopez, and so Brad is actually a lawyer by trade, right?
Mhm.
And he founded the Give Team, and the Give Team is the only inner city kids OCR, obstacle course training or obstacle course racing team in the country. And Brad is going to tell you why he does that, but he basically helps kids from a neighborhood called Paramore in Orlando, which is one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the country. And he gets the older kids, the teenagers, doing Spartan races and getting out there and mentors them. He has an amazing program, which I would love to get awareness, and if we can make this nationwide, I mean, he's gonna tell us all about it. It's something all kids of all ages need. So Brad, welcome, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. It's an honor to have you. And yeah, man. Tell us a
Brad,
little bit about.
are you a veteran as well?
I am not. I have a strong admiration and respect for anybody who served, and from the very beginning, wanted to align our program with veterans, law enforcement, first responders, because in my sense is, or my strong feeling is, our mission is to build stronger communities,
Yeah.
and who better to help build a stronger community than the strongest within your community?
Yes.
And so those who have dedicated their lives to service, I think carry with them a strong foundation that really helps with what we're trying to do with our kids.
Did you guys just see a parachute?
Yeah, I'm seeing
Coming down below.
a few already. So perfect, perfect spot, guys. You picked the perfect spot. Good job. So Brad, man, I read about your organization. Ricardo has joined you to build a park for training as well, and it's just amazing. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, how where did you grow up, and how did this cause kind of start building up in your heart?
Yeah, so I grew up moving all around the country. I was very blessed in that I didn't want for anything. I had um, a family that provided for anything that I needed. And when I moved down here to Orlando in 2002 from Chicago, started getting involved in the community, and got to know New Image Youth Center through my involvement. And all of the kids that I work with are from New Image Youth Center at this point. And New Image Youth Center started 15 years ago and is an after-school and summer program in the Paramore neighborhood that Ricardo mentioned. And it's for us. And what happened is it's around 2011, 2012, actually 2009, as a single dad, I wanted to do some things to connect with my sons. My older son did not make the varsity baseball team in high school. And to me, that hit me really deeply, because team sports were such an important part of my upbringing and my growing up, that I felt awful that he wasn't going to have that experience. And as I looked at the schools here in Central Florida, and actually throughout the state of Florida, throughout the country, they're becoming bigger and bigger, and the opportunities to participate in those kind of events and to have the ability to have that team environment are more and more difficult. You know, when we were kids, if you wanted to play a sport, you just went out for the team. Mm-hmm. And I was fortunate enough to play. I played high school football, was all-state cornerback, and we won a state championship my junior year. Played rugby in college, and I loved to coach. So as my kids grew out of the age of me being able to coach them, I looked for other outlets. So in 2000 and this would have been 2015, my son was a part of Navy Sea Cadets, and he came home with this postcard that talked about that following March when they had the opportunity to volunteer, the Sea Cadets did, at this race called the Battle Frog. And at that time I was struggling with some Achilles issues and was trying to get back to being an athlete. And I saw the card and I told my son, I said, and I had no intentions of running. I said, "This is really cool." I said, he said, No, Dad, I don't want you running that. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You can't even run regular without getting hurt. I don't want you doing this." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Right.
No, so, he knows reverse psychology very well.
Whether he knew it or not. So I trained for it, and then I asked one of the guys who's an alumnus of the New Image Youth Center, who's also a personal trainer, if he wanted to join me. So we trained together. We raced it. I ended up finishing third in my age group, and he finished in the top 20 of his age group. And we thought, how can we take this experience and bring it to the kids of New Image? And that's really how it started. It's developed into far more than the events. We work out every Saturday morning, and it's about goal setting and leadership as much as it is about the events. The events are kind of the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
And but it's been a phenomenal experience, revolving around giving and really focusing on developing strength.
Yes, I read the mottos of your organization, and I think they're amazing. Can you share those with us, and how did they come about?
Yeah, no, I have 67 of them. Wow. The top 2 are the most important ones that are really the foundation of the program. Most of those 67 I come up with when I'm just this side of a heart attack during a workout.
Wow.
Me too.
My best ideas come when I'm in the middle of the grind and the pain.
Yep, that's exactly right. So the first motto is our team motto, our primary team motto, and is where our name came from. And to be honest, this is something that Shanta Barton Stubbs, who's the executive director at New Image Youth Center, she told me this when I first met her. She said that what she did is once a month she had the kids make a hot meal for the people in the community, because she wanted to give the kids an opportunity to give back. And her thought was that no matter how little you have, you always have something to give. And I thought, wow, that's powerful. It took a couple years for that to sink in, to say, hey, this is really what we're all about as a team too. So I've taken that next level to say, we always have something to give, whether it's giving effort, giving kindness, giving compassion. You can always give something, and it doesn't cost a dime. And it builds confidence, and it builds, and in turn builds strength. Because if you're giving to somebody else, you're not only strengthening that other person, but you're making yourself stronger as well.
Yes.
So that's the primary motto. That's Give Team Motto 1. The second one we have is life is a team sport, draft accordingly. So I'm a firm believer that anything that you can do by yourself, you can do far greater with other people involved. So if you have on your team somebody who's not helping you get where you want to go, you got to kick them off your team. Conversely, if there's somebody out there who's traveled a similar path that you've traveled, go seek them out, get to know them, find a way that you can give to them, and learn. and apply those lessons along the way. So those are the two primary mottos that we have that we reinforce through the foundation of the program and through our weekly workouts.
No, that's fantastic, and I think the first one in particular, you know, sometimes people get stuck with the idea that, oh my God, I don't have anything. How can I give to anybody else? But in reality, you know, it's just a matter of changing the perspective from yourself to somebody else. There's always somebody else that's having a rougher day than you. There's always somebody else that has a little less than you, or even that will need a smile or a handshake or a hug or, you know, or something. So that is awesome. And especially for kids that are growing up in tough circumstances, I think that's great, because it allows them to understand, and no matter how bad I have it, number one, I can give to somebody else, and number two, this is not going to be the worst day of my life. It's going to get better, right? So
Yeah,
it's giving them hope.
Exactly right.
That's awesome.
So actually, for you know, to give the viewers a little bit of perspective, tell us about Paramore, like the actual Paramore neighborhood. You know.
Yeah, so the Paramore neighborhood of Orlando is an area of high poverty. Any big city has neighborhoods like Paramore. There's high drug rate, high crime rate. You know, like I said, a very high poverty rate, and it's where a lot of people in the Central Florida area, the image of that neighborhood is that that's where hope goes to die, and you can see it in a lot of the people roaming the streets. And New Image Youth Center and by extension the Give team, you know, we fight that to say that you know, and again, it's taking that perspective, or that the mindset of you know, I can choose to say woe is me, and have those situations define me, or I can use the environment that I'm in to be a source of strength, and that's really, you know, what we get out of the people who we surround ourselves with. And we're here today to celebrate with Operation Enduring Warrior. You know, and the people of OEW have been so strong for us to be that example too. You know, to see these people competing in these events with, you know, injuries and you know.
So here's the plane.
This is what we were talking about.
We still can hear you great, guys.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, good. All right.
So we met. Jonathan Lopez introduced us to Earl Granville. This was a year ago, February, at a Spartan race in Miami. And Earl introduced us to Cindy the Cinder Block, which is a cornerstone of his story.
Yeah, so literally, sorry, Cindy, we'll interview Errol, and you'll have Cindy. But Cindy is a half of a cinder block tied to a chain. All right, and Errol carries Cindy with him everywhere he goes, always. You know, it's an amazing story. I don't want to spoil it. We'll post the link so you see it. But yeah, they basically keep going. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah. So Earl gave us Cindy and the story that comes with Cindy, and it fits into our second motto about, you know, relying on those around you, your teammates when that burden gets heavy. And then we took that and we went and found a friend of Cindy's, which is about a 70-pound post that we also carry. And our message with Roger the post is that you choose whether that burden is going to weigh you down and break you, or you pick it up and you carry it with pride and see it as a source of strength. And it is all, Carlos, exactly like you said, it's all in the perspective that you bring. The facts don't change. It's the story you give to those facts.
Yes.
That you have control over.
Yeah. So you know, when we've done many Spartan races, actually, we did last year the Beast here in Florida, the one you're coming to do with us. Yeah, and the gift team is gonna be there. We're all gonna do it together.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we had Roger, we had Cindy, and Lopez. I don't know where he got it, but he got one of those storm drain sandbags, a giant red sandbag that we had to carry. I mean, that thing must have weighed a couple 100 pounds maybe. And we had to carry it for 16 miles. So yeah, it was a good day.
No, and you know it. I think that the team aspect of what these obstacle race um, events is bringing to people. I've seen it myself, not only in people that I have invited to Spartan races and events like this, but even my own family. You know, they remember it forever, and they feel so so accomplished, because in the beginning is fear, in the beginning is I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I'm ready, and then once they're in there and you have the team helping them along the way, then they realize, oh wow, I got this, right? And then they start helping other people, right?
Right, exactly.
So the you know, Brad, I think what you're doing is so incredible, because the helpless start helping others, right? Those that they thought, man, I could never give, because it's a mindset at the end of the day, right? You're switching the mindset, which I love that, and I think this is what people need to succeed in life, in business, and in any other endeavor they pursue. Is like when it changes from, oh man, I could never help anybody else, and then they realize that along the way, these little steps that they take give them the confidence to go say, oh, I am not helpless, number one, and I can go do something better with my life, and I can go help somebody else in the process and build a team of people that can come and help me. So, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, we this last spring we had two of our members graduated high school, and one went to Florida A&M over the summer, and the other one is up on a full academic scholarship to Morehouse College up in Atlanta. And I told both the guys, we went to dinner, and I said, if you walked away from here and the only thing you took away is the great experiences of the Spartan races and the Green Beret challenges and all the obstacle course races, and that's fine. But if that's the case, I haven't done my job, because these things that we do in these races are such a metaphor for life that we we think that we might not be able to do so. Another one of our mottos is that we want to, as often as we can, we want to force that conversation with that voice between your ears that says, I don't think you can do this, and then keep going.
Yeah.
Because once you do that, then you realize, hey, it wasn't as bad as maybe I thought it was. You get out of that space between your ears and you get out and extend yourself. And that's the same thing as the giving part, right? We spend so much time, especially with these things,
Yep.
between our ears in a way that might not be positive. Well, let's just call it out. It's not positive a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
And if you can then turn that around to say, okay, how can I shift to say, how can I give to somebody else? And all of a sudden you're outside of your head, and if you're doing it right, you're thinking about, what can I do? How can I engage? How can I find some way to help somebody? And helping somebody might just be, like I said, a compliment or a smile or whatever. It's very, very simple, but sometimes it's not easy because we get caught up in our own heads.
Yes. Well, Brad, I think we're going to need a list of those mottos, because we want to do some graphics for you guys and start promoting.
That'd be awesome.
And start promoing the crap out of you, to be honest.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Brad and I have we met at the race, and I was honored to be able to actually build this park, which actually we need to share a little bit of the video. But the story about the park is it's a little beyond just a simple park. Lopez told me about what they needed, and I actually happened to bought an entire hardware store. That's another story, but I bought literally an entire hardware store for $180, and I got like 10,000 pounds of pipe. So Lopez is like, dude, we gotta go build a train. It's not really a park; it's a training facility for the gift team. And our friend Joe, who's a welder, and a bunch of other vets, man, we loaded up. We showed up in Orlando to in Paramore with Brad, and throughout for an entire day, everybody in the community, everybody helped, and we built this training facility. Right? It was amazing. That day was probably one of the greatest days in my life, and
it was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal.
You all got there around 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Left at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
It was dark when they arrived, or sun was just coming up.
Yep.
Dark when they left. So one of the guys had to leave a little early because he had to make it to Key West by 4 o'clock the next morning.
Yeah.
He drove all night to get to work.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
He's actually in bus training to become a SEAL right now.
there we go.
Yeah.
So, and it's just, it was a phenomenal day, a phenomenal way to show our guys what it means to give. And that is so incredibly powerful. And it's more than just, what can I give? It wasn't the pipe, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't,
No,
it was the time.
Yes.
And that's the thing that I'd like everybody to really think creatively about is how can I find a way to not just, donate $20 to the next charity, but how can you engage? Because that's where the difference happens. Not just with the person or the people you're helping, the cause you're supporting, whatever, but with yourself.
Yeah, and a couple two super important things about this park is that, first of all, we were honored to make this park in honor of Tito Piñeiro. Tito is a former mask athlete, the Operation Enduring Warrior mask athlete, who was one of the strongest, not kindest guys. I didn't have the honor to meet him. I met their parents, but basically he was doing events. He actually has the beginner's record of running with 100 miles with the mask. 100 miles at a 100-mile race, right?
Wow.
He has the Guinness Book Records, and his call sign was Unbreakable. And he actually got run over by a car and died while training for a race on his bike.
Wow.
And so we were honored to actually build this park in his honor, and his parents came to actually receive the park, which was extremely emotional. It was amazing.
He grew up in Orlando.
He grew up in Orlando, so that was one of the reasons. And the other reason was that Lopez, because he works for Spartan, he actually got some of your kids that through the Spartan SGX certification, which is they became coaches. So actually, a lot of them are now entrepreneurs, and they're actually coaches. They have their personal trainers, and they're becoming entrepreneurs themselves. So not only is Brad doing an amazing job mentoring these kids and getting them into college, they're actually being entrepreneurs, and they're using this facility, taking care of this facility, and becoming and just learning all around great values.
That is awesome. Brad, tell us about a couple stories that you remember of kids kind of maybe showing up the first day. I can just imagine, they are very defensive, maybe reluctant to participate. Tell us about, the kid that you see walking in for the first time and they have no clue what's up, and they're maybe even a little, aggressive or defensive, and then how you see them transform when the workout's happening, when the mentorship happens.
Yeah, let me do a segue from before the park to now, because the park has made a difference in this. It's really important.
Yeah.
So we, before the park, we used to work out at Lake Eola, which is the kind of the centerpiece of downtown Orlando. Beautiful lake with a fountain, a park or a trail around it. It's about a 3/4 mile trail. Framed by big skyscrapers and lots of people walking with their kids and their dogs. And all of a sudden you see a bunch of bare-chested guys running around with a cinder block and a log. So we make a statement just by showing up. And so that's where we worked out at first. Then once the park was built, we work out in Paramore. And so when I think Smith is probably one of the best examples of somebody who showed up. I haven't ever had anybody show up. No, that's not true. I've had one person who's been really hesitant. Actually, a couple now that I'm thinking about it, who have been maybe a little cautious, not wanting to carry the heavy stuff. And Smith was one who, not that he didn't want to, but he wasn't very big. Last year he was a freshman in high school, and we just got Roger the log, again, a 70-pound log. And what we do is we run around the lake we do an Indian run. So the heavy weight's at the front of the line, and then it's gradually lighter weight until at the very end, the last person carries our team flag. And what we'll do is each person takes 3 minutes to lead, and the one in front sets the pace. So 3 minutes to walk at a brisk pace, and then a minute of running. And then at the end of that, the guy in the front goes to the back of the line, and then everybody moves up one with the weight. So everybody gets a turn. Well, Smith was carrying Roger for the first time and was really struggling. And so it was about maybe, and it's the longest minute of his life, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
So he's got this thing, he's carrying it up over here, and it's starting to slip. It's about 45 seconds, and it starts to slip down his back. And I'm fall, and he's struggling to keep that thing up. That minute was up, and he dropped, but I never saw somebody with such a sense of satisfaction because he made it, and he wasn't sure he was going to make it.
Wow.
I've got a couple of other guys who are very similar framed as Smith. They're very thin, and I use Smith as the example. If you just jump into it and just push yourself, then all of a sudden you get stronger. Smith now doesn't hesitate to pick up anything, any weight to carry it. And he's filling out, and he's, like anybody does between freshman and sophomore year, but even more so because of the effort he's putting in.
Yeah.
So
what was the name of the guy that we raced Kissimmee with? And taller guy, taller guy that he was.
Oh,
so,
did he?
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
His smile, man. Just
Oh.
how happy he was.
So we had two guys. We had Diddy, who was the real big guy, who
Yeah.
played high school football
Yep.
and semi-pro football.
Yeah.
Then Jake, who was our honoree.
Jake is the guy that has the disability. I don't know what it is, but tell me his story, man, because I remember that my biggest memory of that Kissimmee race was just seeing the smile in his face every time when he did a box jump, man, or he had to carry the sandbag. He put down that sandbag, man, and it was like Christmas morning, man. It was amazing.
So Jake is a wonderful, wonderful kid. He's a senior at Jones High School this year. And last spring, I saw that he earned a medal in the Special Olympics at his high school. And I came up with this idea because we knew about the Kissimmee race. And I thought, hey, what a great way for us to kind of borrow the idea of OEW and have our own honoree for that race since it's in our backyard. So I approached Jake and I said, hey, Jake, would you want to run one of these races with us? And he just lit up. I mean, he's a big smile. He's on the autism spectrum. I don't know that he's been formally diagnosed, but he has a tough time communicating. But man, that smile speaks 1,000 words. So he started showing up to the workouts. And so we would meet usually around 9 o'clock. He'd be there at 8 o'clock. First couple of times he'd be there with jeans and a collared shirt on. And I'd say, okay, Jake, let's get you dressed right. And he would come back and man, he put in the work. And when we went to that race, he just lit up every opportunity he had to do something where he knew that people were paying attention. It really helped him feel like he was a part of the team, first of all. But second of all, that he was capable of doing these things that tested him. And it was great for him to see. It was also great for the team, for our guys to work with him, to help him, to know that they're making a difference too. So yeah, that was a really, really neat experience.
Yeah, that was so cool, man.
That is awesome. And it all comes down to allowing these kids to do something that they've never done before and breaking those barriers. And they're in a time in their lives where I truly think they can be attracted by so many negative things, especially in places like where you work. And you give them a chance to see, oh, I can choose this other path in my life.
When I think of the center, there are three main things that the New Image Youth Center does, and the Give Team by extension. The first is, if you think of a pyramid of needs, right at the very foundation, the center provides a safe haven for the kids to give them the opportunity to dream. They're not in a fight or flight mode. They know that they can get their work done there. They know that it's there. They can rely on it. They can count on it. The second thing is that we take them outside of the community or bring people from outside of the community in to influence those dreams.
Yeah.
So how can we give them those different experiences that aren't what they see every day, maybe a little bit different? And then the third thing is we give them the tools to go realize those dreams. And the thing that we're really proud of is that we've got, when we talk about Akeem, who is an alumnus of the program, who's now a staff member at the center, works with the little kids. We've got Rob Bassi, who's youngest member of the PhD program in computer science at Auburn after graduating from Morehouse College. We've got Steve, who's on a full academic scholarship to the University of Florida as a senior.
Wow.
Jeff, who is who's a freshman at Morehouse College. We've got Paul, who graduated last year and is on track to get back to Florida A&M. He fell in love with Florida A&M last summer. There's Gene, who graduated a year ago last spring, and who who's enlisting in the Marines. So, you know, and we've got Rome, who's another alumnus of the center, who just graduated from this trade school. That's a 15-week program that's perfect for him, that has given him a path to now he's, you know, got a full-time gig that's gives him a track to go do some of the things he's wanted to do to scratch his entrepreneurial itch.
Wow.
So college isn't for everybody.
That is awesome.
But you know, the idea is to find a way. You know, what is it that your path is?
Oh yeah. What would you think would have happened to these kids had they not been involved in this?
I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, you know,
what's the typical path though that you see, you know, for people in those neighborhoods?
Yeah, I mean, you have, I mean, I don't want to be melodramatic, but I mean, in a lot of ways, it's life or death.
Yeah.
You know, there are. We talked about it on our. We went to Atlanta to run the Green Beret Challenge last weekend, and on the ride home, kids were looking at the news. And last couple of weeks, there have been just an incredible number of shootings in the neighborhood, and so they talk about it. Chris, who's sitting over here, one of his middle school classmates was shot last weekend and critically injured, hospitalized. So there's that, right? And there is the. If you have any drive or energy to go do something creative and entrepreneurial, one of the easiest paths is to go sell drugs, or to go get involved in things that don't take you any farther than where you are at the time you pick up whatever it is you're doing. So you know, so those are very real things. I will tell you that you know that there is an eclectic mix of families structures. Some of them are very, very strong. And, you know, I think that all of us can learn a lot from the immigrant stories that a lot of these families have. Since getting involved, I mean, I firmly believe there's a real fine line between entrepreneurial spirit and survival instinct. And it very well is the same thing. But in these guys, you know, a lot of them being first generation, are showing, you know, the pride of wanting to go make something of themselves. So yeah, I mean, you know, I think tough to say, but I think it's at the same time, you know, you can look at the statistics of everybody who's not a part of the center, and know that it's, you know, it's an uphill battle for everybody, whether you're part of the center or not.
Right.
But it becomes that much steeper if you're not a part of it.
Yeah. And a couple of things, you know, is I remember the speech Lopez gave your kids at the end of the Beast last year, you know, and he is, you know, it was at the end, remember, after like 8 hours, and he just told us, listen, I mean, you know, you want a pat on the back to because you did this race, and he's like, no, man, you get to do this, and you got to take this and make it more, you know, and give back to the community, and just not, you know, yeah, high fives and everything. No, and it's we all gotta take that responsibility to be the light with other people, you know, we be the light with our community and be the light with our friends, because I mean, those guys have the biggest position to influence other people in the community, you know. I mean, they might not listen to Brad, that guy's nuts, you know, those guys gonna get me carrying Cindy and stuff like that, but if those kids really take it into heart and go and recruit other kids and become other fans of other kids, then that's when the ball is rolling, you know.
And that's what the park brought. I never did close the gap, close the loop on that. So with the park being at the center now our workouts are at the center. So the little kids, you know, when they're there during the day, they see the park out back. They've known me, but now they see me coming in and they see the videos on Instagram and they see all the stuff that we do, and they're impressed. And now we have this kind of this feeder pet track of these younger kids who want to be a part of what we do. And there's another thing that came to my mind when you were talking.
Yeah.
So we were doing this. We were doing some long training last fall where we would get up at like 4 a.m. and we would go out, and it was a gradual training program that started with the 2-hour ruck, 3, 4, all the way up to 7 hours with weight. And so we got up and got going at 3 a.m, and this was about 5. And one of the guys kept falling back. And so there were 3 of us at the front. So I would tell the guys I was with, I said, all right, we got to turn around and sprint back. And they would get all pissed off because it's like, why do we have to be punished because they're running slow? So we would run back the 100 yards, go another 100 yards past them. Then we would ruck up, and then we would pass them again, and we'd have to turn around and do it again. So then they started complaining. And so we were at a break point. I put everything down. I said, and I smiled and I laughed and I said, guys, what did you think you were going to get when you were coming out here at 3 o'clock in the morning? Did you think it was going to be easy? You know, my feet hurt, my back is, well, what did you expect? So this is one of the mottos. It's going to suck, it's going to hurt, and it's going to be beautiful. And that's what it is. I mean, we all suffer. It's whether we choose. The difference is whether or not we choose that path of self-inflicted suffering, or it's going to get thrown on you.
Yeah, and it's not, and just thinking, to ourselves. We don't. I mean, we've seen Chris Wolf and we've seen other amazing people. It's not. I have to do this. It's I get to do this. Because many people. They don't get to do this at all. They don't get to live life. They don't get to enjoy it. So that just the fact that you can carry something, you get to do it. It's just, and if you put that into perspective, believe me, your life will get a lot nicer and a lot simpler.
So Brad, man, it's just humbling, really, to see these kids transform and go and have successful and productive lives. I bet that's one of the big reasons why, in seeing the little kids look up to the bigger ones and look at having that hope, right? It's like, oh, I want to be like that. I want to do that when I grow up, or I bet you they're going out there and playing in the training courses of a play park now, right? So
that's it. And OEW serves that for our guys, right? Yes. So they look at a Jonathan Lopez, an Earl Granville, they look at a Rick Holberg, they look at anyone who's a part of OEW, and they say, I want a little bit of that, right? I want some of that, because, at the end of the day, what's your excuse? It's either an excuse or a challenge. You decide what it is. And the guys with OEW embrace whatever it is that they have. So my wife, who's also here today, she's a breast cancer survivor, and she has MS, and she's a champion, right? And she embraces life. It's, you could sit there and you can say, woe is me, or you can say, hey, this is what it is. And now I'm going to look at this as a source of strength to be a powerful thing to then go send to other people. And that's the whole give thing. I tell the guys that we talk about this is a program that anybody in the country, any kid in the country could benefit from. In fact, I have two guys who work with us from Winter Park High School, rather affluent suburb of Orlando. And their mothers brought them in because there isn't anything for kids once they turn 12, for boys, young boys specifically, right? There just isn't any place for them to go. Again, this goes back to the whole speech I gave about sports.
Yep.
There isn't a natural channel for them to go challenge themselves, to go be a part of a team, to go fight. And that's really what this serves for the guys that are there. And my wife said when, she wrote a book of poetry and collages as she was going through her cancer treatment. And when we were dating, it was after she had gone through it all. And I told her how impressed I was with what she did and how she channeled that. And she looked at me like I was silly, saying, I just did what I needed to do. Right. And that's, and that to me, it was like, wow, all right, then I just need to shut up and quit complaining about anything that comes my way. Because, I got no excuse.
One of the last things, that I want to talk, man, that you and I've been chatting back and forth a ton is yes, the kids at Paramore, it's needed. This program is badly needed, but we can argue that this program is needed in nationwide everywhere, because we were even talking that even kids, especially kids in private school, like, the fact that you're nurturing all kinds of entrepreneurship and actually working hard for what your goals are and everything. I mean, that's a universal thing that's needed through exercise, through mentorship, through I was the first time I ever raced with you, man. We always go back to a house and eat some pizza, whatever. And I'm sitting there, and these kids, they all have phones. Yeah, I mean, but they're not in their phones. And I start talking to one of these kids. I don't remember, he was 15. He was 15. It doesn't come to mind which one of your kids was it, but he just looks at me and he's like, I tell him who I am. It's like, so what did you go to school for? He's asking me, and I'm like, I'm a computer engineer. And he just looks at me and he's like, what are your thoughts on artificial intelligence in vehicles? And I'm like, what? It's like, you're a 15-year-old kid. Most 15-year-old kids I see that go to kids high school or middle school and high school, all they care is about Fortnite and freaking Call of Duty. I mean, this kid is thinking about future shit, and it's just amazing. So I mean, I wanna help Brad grow this into a nationwide thing that can be implemented in high schools across the country. I mean, it's badly needed, that influence, that entrepreneurship spirit, that desire to be a empathy and to give back, man. I mean, it's needed worldwide.
Yes, I agree.
It's badly needed.
Yeah.
So Brad,
Go
how
ahead.
how I mean, people are gonna watch this, hopefully all over the world, but as they get to know your cause and what you're doing, how can people help? How can people help this Give Team organization that you have founded and that you are working so hard at?
Yeah, I think one of the ways is the easiest way is just to follow what we do on Instagram at the Give Team. We have a Facebook page too. Our website is giveteam.net, and that's where you can see all the programs we have. I made a promise to my lovely bride that we wouldn't self-fund everything, so there's opportunity for people to participate in helping with getting us to these races. The one of the best parts of these races, Ricardo mentioned that we've got these after party or these after event parties where they're able to engage, and that means a lot to the guys. So I am looking to grow the program. I have a sheriff up in Charlotte who's evaluating and trying to find a way that he can take it to work with some of the underserved kids of Charlotte, and so I put together a framework that I think, if anybody out there is interested in exploring how we might be able to think creatively, it is an entrepreneurial opportunity. It's how I scratch my entrepreneurial itch. It's a nonprofit type thing, but it's an exciting thing to be a part of, and it's incredibly fulfilling. So, but we have a need for every race. We rent a van, gas cards, meals. We had one of the OEW honorees, Drew Stokes. His wife works at Chili's, and so she gave us a stack of Chili's gift cards for one of our road trips, which helped cover the meals for that or cover dinner for that trip. So it's really about getting creative.
Yes.
We've had people donate. Right now, our need is shoes, to be honest. So I've got guys who I see the bottoms of their shoes, and we're wearing holes in the bottoms of their shoes. So there's a need for that kind of stuff on a regular basis.
Yeah, no, and with the holidays coming up, I think a lot of people give during this time of the year. So yeah, it'd be awesome. I posted your website on the bottom of the interview so that people can reach out and help and communicate with you. And I think one of the biggest things is just we all know so many people that are in need as far as, but I think the youth in this case, getting them out of a situation where it could possibly change their life for the better, I think it's amazing. So I for sure, when I'm the race we're going to is in Orlando, Ricardo.
Yep, that's the race, and we actually, we'll take that opportunity to maybe interview Akeem. Akeem is and just you guys will see live. Lopez is gonna be there. Brad is gonna be there. You guys will see live what we're talking about and what we're doing to carry Cindy. You will get your turn in Cindy, Carlos. You will get your turn with Roger. So it's gonna be a great day, man. It's gonna be a great day.
No, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to working out with you guys and hanging out. And that's exactly what I was gonna say. We want to interview some of these kids because I think that'd be a most powerful story for people to see and just see, what their experience, their real life experience is by participating in what you do. Brad, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I know you guys are camping this weekend with the family and celebrating Veterans Day, and hopefully jumping off a plane. I saw a lot of parachutes coming down, so that's cool. Yep. And I'm looking forward to meet you in person in about a month or so.
All right, same here, Carlos. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful Sunday.
Take care.